The story begins in America, at a small railway station called Walking. Here we meet Eddie, who works in the ticket office. Eddie is dedicated to his job and helps passengers with various tasks. For example, when a foreigner needs directions, Eddie helps them out. One day, a woman is struggling with her child's stroller, and nobody helps her except Eddie. Then, Eddie opens the ticket counter, and a line of passengers forms. A woman named Linda comes up and asks for a ticket. He then asks Linda where she wants to go. Linda says she needs a ticket for Meakin Heights. Eddie, puzzled, replies that he have been working here for 20 years and have never heard of Meakin Heights. Even if it exists, no train goes there. Linda insists that she often take a train from here straight to Meakin Heights. Eddie, now confused, asks her for more details and asks number or the timing of the train. Linda responds quickly. There are 3 trains to Meakin Heights every day. One at 9 o'clock, one at 1 o'clock, and the third at 5 o'clock. Eddie replied that at those times trains go to Eden Station. There's no station named Meakin Heights on that route. Linda then asks Eddie to check his computer. When Eddie turns to look at his monitor, Linda suddenly disappears. Eddie is bewildered by her sudden disappearance. After work, he shares the strange encounter with his colleague. Charles is equally puzzled by the situation. Charles responds skeptically that all this is just in his mind because he is getting old. When Eddie arrives home, he finds the police there. They inform him that his son, Sam, had an altercation with his girlfriend, and she has filed a complaint. Eddie manages to talk things through with the police, assuring them that Sam won't repeat such behavior. The police warn Sam and then leave. Eddie then asks Sam, "Why do you get so angry and violent?" Sam replied that he don't know why everyone is afraid of him. Eddie tries to comfort him, saying, "Don't worry, everything will be fine. Just rest now." The next morning, Linda comes back and asks for a ticket to Meakin Heights at 9:19. This time, Eddie invites her inside and has her sit down. He also calls Charles over. Linda repeats the same information as the previous day. Linda explains that Meakin Heights is a small town with about 5,000 residents. Eddie then asks, "How long does it take to get to Meakin Heights?" Linda replies that it takes about 28 minutes, and that she also works at an insurance company there. She then asks them why they are asking so many questions and if there is any problem. Charles shows Linda the system on his computer and shows that there is no station named Meakin Heights on the route of that train. As soon as he says this, Linda disappears. Eddie decides to find out the truth. He notices a train leaving at 9:19, the one Linda mentioned. Determined to solve the mystery, Eddie boards the train and starts looking for Linda, but he doesn't find her. Instead, he notices a passenger whom we'll call Mr. X. Remember his face, as he might be important later. He asks Eddie if he is in ticket checking duty today. Eddie names the person on duty, then gets off the train and whistles, signaling its departure. When Eddie returns home, he finds out that Sam has tried to kill his mother, Eddie's wife. Sam has become extremely dangerous. Worried, Eddie takes Sam to a psychiatrist. During the consultation, Eddie thinks he sees Linda there. The psychiatrist explains that Sam has been under stress since childhood, which causes his extreme violence. He warns that Sam's anger and violence could increase in the future, so they should always keep a close watch on him. Eddie feels deeply sad about his son's behavior, as it repeatedly brings humiliation and pain. The next day, Eddie struggles to focus on his work, troubled by Sam's issues at home. Linda's mysterious appearance and her talk of a place not on any map also weigh heavily on his mind. Determined to uncover the truth, Eddie decides to board the 9:19 train again to find out more about Linda and Meakin Heights. Eddie sets a timer for 28 minutes on his phone, remembering that Linda said it takes 28 minutes to reach Meakin Heights. As the train departs, he sits by the window and looks outside. Eddie spots Linda outside, which confuses him further. Why does she appear everywhere? The train travels for a long time without stopping at any station. As the timer approaches 27 minutes, Eddie still hasn't seen any sign of Meakin Heights. Suddenly, he notices something that looks like a city outside. Just then, Mr. X stands up and walks to the door, which opens automatically. Eddie is shocked and warns that he will fall. But Mr. X jumps off the moving train. Eddie is stunned and can't understand what just happened. His timer hits 0. Eddie also jumps off the train. He notices many people jumping off the train and climbing a mountain toward the city. Without hesitating, Eddie follows them and reaches the city. The city is filled with people of all ages, both young and old. Eddie goes to a restaurant where a waitress greets him warmly, asking, "What would you like to have, sir?" Eddie asks for tea. The waitress quickly brings him tea and offers him an apple cake she made herself. As he leaves the restaurant, a couple accidentally bumps into him. The man apologizes, saying, "Sorry, sir." Eddie is impressed by the friendliness and happiness of the people in this place. Everyone seems very happy. Children are flying kites and playing joyfully, which lightens Eddie's heart. Then, Linda appears. Eddie asks her if this all is in his mind, playing tricks on him to help him escape his worries and make him believe that he is in this beautiful place. Linda says, "This is real, but it's also different. That train brought them to an alternate reality. Here, people are the same, but they have no sorrow. Everyone is genuinely happy." At 5:19 p.m., this train will come heading back to Walkingtown. If you get on it, they all can return home. The sorrows in the family won't exist in this alternate reality, and all can live happily with their family here. Despite his confusion, Eddie decides to wait until 5:19 p.m. He notices that others are also waiting for the train. When the time comes, just as they had jumped off the train, everyone starts climbing back onto the moving train. Eddie reaches the walking station feeling that the trip to the alternate reality brought him happiness. He decides not to return there again and heads home. However, when he arrives, he notices something unusual. His wife seems more active and happy than usual, and she looks incredibly beautiful. Confused, Eddie goes to check on his son Sam's room, but instead of finding Sam, he finds a storeroom. He thought he had returned from Meakin Heights and was back in his real life, but the truth dawns on him. He is still in the alternate reality. In this version of reality, he and his wife never had a son, and she is happy without the troubles that plagued their real lives. Accepting this new reality, Eddie decides to move forward. The next day, he goes to work as usual. At the station, he helps a woman struggling to bring down her child's stroller. This time, many others also come to help, reflecting the kindness and cooperation of this alternate reality. Eddie realizes that even though he is in an alternate reality, he can find peace and happiness here. Curious about this alternate reality, Eddie conducts some research. He discovers a newspaper article mentioning a city named Meakin Heights that was supposed to be built, but the government canceled the project, so the city was never completed. Intrigued, Eddie tracks down the reporter who wrote the article to learn more about the mysterious city. The reporter reveals that many people have come to her with similar stories, claiming they have visited Meakin Heights multiple times. She shows Eddie some documents and explains that Meakin Heights was the dream of a great architect who wanted to create an ideal city. However, the project was never approved, and the architect couldn't bear to see his dream fail, so he disappeared. Currently, it's an empty place, but some believe that a city truly exists there where everyone is happy and peaceful. The reporter also tried to go to Meakin Heights, but wasn't able to go. But for some reason, the train door never opened for her at that place. Only a few people seem to get the chance to go to Meakin Heights. As she shares this information, Eddie notices a picture of Linda among the documents. Seeing Linda's picture confirms Eddie's belief that Meakin Heights is not just a figment of his imagination. It's a place that exists in a different reality, accessible only to certain people. The reporter explains Linda is the daughter of the architect who wanted to build Meakin Heights City. She was very sad when the project was canceled. If her father's dream had come true, maybe she would still be alive, but she was disappeared, and no one knows where she went. Determined to uncover the truth, he starts reading old newspapers during his work breaks. One day, Charles comes by and says he had to leave early for his son's school play. Eddie asks when did he get married and to not joke around. Charles replies he had 3 kids and have Eddie lost his mind. In original reality, Charles didn't marry or had kids. In this alternate reality, Charles has 3 kids, while Eddie has none. This makes Eddie miss his son Sam even more. He decides to take the train again, hoping to find a way back to his original reality where Sam exists. Eddie realizes that despite the happiness in the alternate reality, he misses his son too much. Determined, Eddie boards the 9:19 train again. After 28 minutes, the door opens and Eddie jumps down. He heads to the restaurant where the waitress serves apple cake. After enjoying the cake, he leaves the restaurant and once again bumps into the young couple. Eddie is confused because again, the same couple bumped into Eddie, as this is exactly what happened the last time. He sits down in bewilderment, watching a couple with their son, which makes him think of his own son. He looks for Linda, but she is nowhere to be seen. Worried, Eddie boards the train again and returns to Walkingtown, still in the alternate reality. That night, he hears strange noises coming from another room, but finds no one there. He climbs towards the attic, feeling as if gravity has reversed. He reaches a white room with an old TV and a video cassette player. He plays the cassette and sees videos of Sam's childhood. Eddie is very sad and he wants to somehow get his son back. Next day, he again reaches Meakin Heights in that train. There, he asks everyone about Linda. But now Eddie realizes that all the people here are suffering from some kind of pain or disease in their reality. And to get relief from this, these people come to this place in Meakin Heights. A woman comes whose child Eddie often helped in getting down the stairs of the station. She cries and tells Eddie there is something stuck in her child's throat. He is not able to breathe. Perhaps his life is in danger. But Eddie ignores her and goes to the restaurant and asks waitress about Linda. But she starts narrating her grief that when she was 16 years old, a man threatened her with a knife and abused her. Now Eddie starts thinking that every person here has suffered some kind of pain or the other. Now Eddie gets more upset and angry. When he comes out, he again bumps into same couple again. But this time, Eddie, who was angry, pushes the man, but still they happily thanks Eddie and leaves. And then, one thing strikes in Eddie's mind. That day, Linda told him that she worked at an insurance company in Meakin Heights. Eddie immediately finds that company, but instead of a building, there's a thin wall with a door. Eddie opens the door and goes inside. Instead of coming out on the other side, he goes inside a very big space where Linda is there. Eddie tells her help him send back to my original reality. Linda says, but you will be happier in the alternate reality. But Eddie again insists that he don't want fake happiness. Linda then walks through White Wall. Then Eddie and Linda step outside, and Linda explains to Eddie that his father had wanted to build Meakin Heights, but couldn't, and died in sorrow. To ease that sorrow, Linda wanted to create a city where people suffering from the pain and hardships of the real world could find relief. In the reality Linda built, technology is so advanced that she could create such a place where everyone can be happy. In Meakin Heights, people from different realities can come, but only those who have suffered greatly in their real lives are given the opportunity to enter. The train door only opens for those who truly want to escape their reality. That's why the reporter couldn't come to Meakin Heights. She was very happy in her reality. Only unhappy people can board the train to Meakin Heights. When they return home in the evening, their previous pain and sorrow no longer exist, and they start living happily in the alternate reality. Linda then tells Eddie about the woman whose child he had helped at the station. In reality, her child had choked on something he was eating and passed away. This broke the woman down, and she came to Meakin Heights, where her son was still alive. In this alternate reality, his life will be comfortable. Linda tries to persuade Eddie, but he angrily responds, who is she to force him into an alternate reality and take his son away? Eddie remains firm, wanting to go back to his real reality. She allows him to go, and then disappears. In the evening, Eddie is waiting for the train, where Mr. X tells Eddie that he is a very strong man, that he is able to escape from reality. He was never able to overcome his pain, so he is living in an alternate reality where he have no guilt feeling and life is peacefully. Then Eddie boards the train and comes back to his original reality. Eddie is very happy to see his son there, and the movie ends with this scene. It is possible that Sam, like earlier, due to his violent behavior, he could beat his mother and that may lead to death. This is the harsh reality of our world. Thanks for watching and please do subscribe for more videos.